podcast. I know I say this a lot, but it's been a while. I'm glad to be back. I hope everyone's doing good, and more I am now. How about you, Kenneth?
Yeah, chilling.
Doing
I mean,
chilling,
it's
doing
funny
fine.
that we only do this when you're in school, so we just set it up for failure every time.
I mean, it's got to be sometime. It's got to be now and never.
Yeah, I
But
mean,
let's,
yeah, no, this is one hell of a time to do it.
bro. I mean, can't put it just book in the back burner anymore.
Yeah.
But anyways, I'm glad I'm back. I know Kenneth is glad that we're about to get into these topics right now. A lot of things has happened since the last time we talked about, the recent. I mean, certain things still going on like COVID, and other stuff. Democrats going at each other and shit like that. But now we gotta talk about the biggest topic in the last a few weeks has been Afghanistan, right? And how the United States withdraw from there, and a little chaos when south things went south when the United States decided to do that, and now we completely now we could say that is complete. Like all the withdrawal ended today, and people still talk about it. The media still is trying to persuade Joe Biden to go back and stay there and continue the war there for some fucking reason. We knew what happened last Friday. The ISIS attack. Unfortunately, some American lives, soldiers were lost, and that's the price we pay when we stay in places like that, right?
I mean, like I'm gonna start off by saying, I gotta give credit to Joe Biden, right? Like I didn't, to be honest with him, when he beat Sanders in the primary, I was like, you saw the channel, right? I was like, oh, it's a loss, it's a wrap. I was completely wrong. I didn't think he'd be that great of a president. Again, I was wrong. He pretty much did everything he needed to do. I mean, well, not everything, but he did a lot of things he needed to do. And this is probably one of the greatest achievements that he has, along with the vaccine, along with stimulus. If he gets his infrastructure bill passed, man, he might be one of the best presidents of all time, right?
Wait, didn't the U.S. Senate vote for it and it passed?
I know Congress did. I don't know about Senate yet.
Okay.
What I mean in infrastructure bill, not the watered down bipartisan one. I mean the $3.5 trillion one.
Yeah, the one in Bernie Sanders proposed.
The big one, yeah, the big one.
Yeah. I mean, it did pass the House of Representatives, did it?
Yeah.
And now the Senate voted for it, and they also passed, right?
I don't think the Senate voted for it yet.
I think it did. That's why they were celebrating for it.
No, I don't think it did yet.
Well, maybe. Well, if it does pass this, I guess that would be the greatest accomplishment. That besides getting out from Afghanistan.
Yeah, because they need to pass it. We'll talk about it when we talk about it. But back to Afghanistan, right? When it comes to Afghanistan, I said we started the war in Iraq. Well, I think it was before you even came to this country, right?
Yeah, I think in 2001.
Yeah, and then it was when I was 9 years old. That was 20 years ago. 9 years old, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And so the fact that it's finally over is saying, now I'm not gonna lie and pretend like it was all George Bush's fault, because a lot of American people were pissed off about 9/11 and wanted to go to war. But the thing is that I think we got hit with the same quagmire because one, we had the same problem that a lot of other countries had, and we didn't listen to our allies. Like Pakistan told us that Pakistan and France told us at the time not to do it. That it was going to be a waste of time and money and resources. They were right. And they even told us, even Iran to this day, the countries in the Middle East understand how complicated the issue in Afghanistan, even Iraq now is, right? Because we beat like everyone in Afghanistan and Iraq. I can't say that Middle East, but in Iraq, right? For in like 6 months, right? It was like over. There was no more military. It had no centralized structure, whatever.
Yeah.
But the thing was is that the governments in that region really didn't have as much power as you would they did, it was a lot of it came down to warlords, right?
Yeah.
That's how you have like Al Qaeda, Taliban, ISIS, all that stuff. And so what ended up happening was a lot of the generals that we uh, deposed from Saddam's military, generals, officers, stuff like that, they just went to the warlord, right? And they also have to, and so these countries just paying off these warlords as well. And so, well, before we got there, so the turmoil in the Middle East, it goes back a long time, and we clearly bombing and weapons don't work. I mean, we should have learned that when the Soviet Union failed, and they were also a superpower at the time. And so now that it's complete because Joe Biden pulled out, the army that we built in Afghanistan, they pretty much just ran and left all the weapons we gave them to the Taliban, which means the Taliban is now more powerful.
Supposedly,
Right.
they have about what 300,000 soldiers.
They have Humvees, they have airplanes, they have bombers, they have all the weapons we bought for the Afghanistan military. We bought for the Afghanistan military. It's gone, right?
They're everywhere. I mean, we got a little like people from the Taliban fucking going around.
Yeah, pretty much. They have all the guns, all the bullets, the Humvees, the jets, the fighter planes, everything. So
it's funny because they're like actually posting like pictures online, posting like with the new weapons they got and stuff.
And that's what it is, though. And so we actually end up giving them more power in the region, which means it's just going to go back to the way it was before 2001 when we invaded. Go back to being in control like they were.
But I mean, there's nothing new that they got more weapons. Now I mean, the United States, it's known, right, that the United States did arm the Taliban at some point.
Right, but that's the thing, right? It's like not only did we arm the Taliban, but their neighbors like Iran, Pakistan, they give them money and arms, like I said, because they controlled the country for such a long time. When we ran in there, they just left. They were just like, okay, cool, we're just gonna wait. We're gonna wait inside of another country, mostly Pakistan, right? Once you leave, we're just gonna come back, and that's exactly what they did. Because like I said, when we got Osama, he was in Pakistan. He wasn't in Afghanistan or Iraq. He went to Pakistan because the thing is, when you're dealing with groups like that, they don't have borders. They have connections, and so they'll just go wherever they need to. And then you're not going to bomb every country in the Middle East. You know what I mean? You're like, because you can't.
Yeah.
It'll just piss off a lot of people, and not every country's weak like Afghanistan and Iraq. And so they just left. Going over the border, went to another country, hopped it, stayed there. That way, to the United States, wasted all this time and money. Went back when we were leaving, and that's where we are now. And then on top of that, you can't forget that you have a lot of people in the U.S. media talking about how we should have stayed and we have to protect the citizens. But we have to remember, this. I think it was a couple months ago, maybe it was last year. No, I think it was a couple months ago. No, was it 2020? When did we kill the Iranian general? 2020, right?
Just 2020. I mean, I think it was the start of 2020.
No, it must have been this year because it was COVID already. Yeah, because Trump.
No, it was 2020. It was
it?
It was 2020 because we started with that. Then it was the fires. Then unfortunately, Kobe Bryant's death, and then COVID hit.
Okay, yeah. So then, oh yeah, because 2020 worst year. Yeah. So yeah, and so yeah. So at that time, we have to remember, like the media in the United States are going to trot out all these people saying that, oh, we need to stay there to protect them. They want us there to protect them. They'll bring out a person every once in a while to say, yeah, we want a defense and yada yada yada. But you have to remember, in 2020, after we killed Khashoggi, the general, Afghanistan voted overwhelmingly for us to get the fuck out. Like that's what the vote was for. They're like, do you want the United States to be here? And pretty much everyone voted no. So it was just like, okay. Right. So when they tell you, oh, they want us there, no, they don't. They didn't want us there. Like the people of Afghanistan voted specifically for us not to be there anymore. Like, so they're lying. They're just lying to you. And so that's pretty much where we are now. Like, I'm happy our longest war is over. It needs to be over.
Yeah, but what we both hate is how convoluted it has been. How, the topic of getting out of Afghanistan, which was favorably popular in the United States, as we don't want to be there anymore. We want people, people want the United States to start like investing in ourselves,
Yeah.
Infrastructure, social programs and whatnot. Since we all hurting.
And it's actually
Um,
funny that you bring that up because when it comes to the infrastructure bill, um, they actually did a survey and they found out most Americans don't care how much it costs. Just do it. Like
just
they don't even care if it's like a 10, 15, 16 trillion dollars. They like just do it. So yeah, you have no idea how right you are on that. Ridiculous.
I mean, then obviously, the most frustrating thing that has happened, obviously, since we got out of Afghanistan, is that the media is trying to control the narrative, and it's mostly on behalf of those contractors, the military contractors who benefit from us staying in wars. Like you said, a lot of warlords benefit from selling weapons, and all these like people who like, and in quote unquote, they like suck the tax dollars or taxpayers' money from all the contracts they get from the government, right? To sell weapons and whatnot. There's a bunch of movies being done in Hollywood about that. I think War Dogs is one on. So it just was strange to see how like all the media is just straightforward trying to sell back the idea to the American people is that we should stay, and the idea that getting out of Afghanistan was the biggest mistake that Joe Biden has done, which is the dumbest shit ever. Because I think this is the greatest thing has done yet to this point, right? Actually following with with Donald Trump did, because we had to give credit to Donald Trump. He started the whole thing, and Biden just let it happen.
Right. Yeah. He pretty much Trump was like, "No, we need to get out." Biden agreed because Biden voted for it, right? He voted for the war. But then when we did the surge under Obama, he was against it. Like you said, he was against it. And now he's president. He said no, it needs to be over. That's the right attitude. Like I said, the conflict in the Middle East is extremely complicated, and it's kind of been happening. Like we're talking about regional differences that has been around since before the United States even existed.
Yeah.
And conflicts that has been going on for hundreds of years. And to think that, a country as young as ours is going to just walk in there and to change everything so you can just jack the resources and they'd be happy with it. Because that's essentially what it was, right?
Yeah.
It was essentially just like, hey, we're going to make the place nice. That way we can just siphon off all the oil and the quartz and all that stuff. And
because
they leave.
all that BS that people think, oh, we got there to restore democracy once and for all, right? We restored the government. We put someone in there, and the first thing that he did, it was like he left off out of the back room, right? He left off with all the money.
Yep.
And he went somewhere else. It's like,
I mean that's the thing, though, right? It's like we say we restore democracy, but we're one of the main reasons Saddam was in power in Iraq. You know what I mean? Like we put at people who are not democratic all the time.
Yeah.
Right? And so it's like, right? So that's a lie. What it is you want the resources. That's what it is. That's what we want. We want the resources.
Yeah.
They've said it a few times. Where they're like, oh,
a bunch
we
of
need
times
to
it's been said on. Yeah. And people have said it, but people don't care. People don't listen to those little.
I mean, yeah, that's the thing about American exceptionalism. And I understand, right? I get it that every country is going to do it anyway, right? Because if we don't do it, someone else is going to do it. But at the same time, it don't make it right. Like, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, it doesn't make it okay to do. It just means that everyone is doing the wrong thing.
It's frustrating to see that people who never care about the war in general, now they start like, oh my god, we're doing such a bad thing for getting out from Afghanistan. Look at all those people who are dying. Look at the people who grab themselves into the airplane, and now they you can see them like going
right
to their death. I mean, it's sad, and it's just horrible to see that kind of humanity being so fragile, right? Yeah. So it's desperation, because I lived through it. I seen how people that live in another country, and they know that country sucks, and they have no prosperity, and their future seems big and nowhere to be. Like, I'm black and shit like that, and for them to say, you know what, I can't stay here, and I will put my life in danger, for me to just leave, even if it means me like grabbing myself, actually, like literally grabbing myself to an airplane that's fucking taking off. You'd prefer to be holding on and potentially die, which a lot of people, I mean, all of them did.
Yeah. I mean, and that's the thing, dude. It's like once the Taliban kind of came back, you can tell like they really didn't like it. They didn't like the Taliban coming back, because essentially it just means they're going to go back to what they were doing before,
Yeah.
right? Oppressive rule based on religion, their interpretation of their religion.
Yeah.
And but the thing is, I have to agree with Joe Biden on this one. It's like the United States gave them everything they needed: education, money, weapons, training, everything you could. If the first thing you got to do as soon as the enemy comes towards you is just run, there's really nothing you can do. Then it's like we can't stay there forever, right? Like you can't.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
eventually, we would have to leave, right? Because
Yeah.
we have our own things we have to fight. Even if you look in the future, people are talking about wars over water. Guess what? The United States and Canada have a significant amount of fresh water in it. Like, this is something you're gonna have to defend if you're talking about resource wars, right?
Yeah.
As climate change goes forward. And so it's one of those things where, we would have to leave eventually, and this is going to happen. I mean, it's kind of like we just ripped the Band-Aid off, and the military just left. No, because that's what they did. They just ran. They just deserted. People didn't want to fight. They left. They thought it was okay when the United States was there, kind of boosting the military. They're like, "Oh, we don't have to fight; they'll do the fighting, right?" And
Yeah.
then once we said, "Hey, no, you got to do it," and then the government as well. As soon as the Taliban came in, military ran, government ran. There's pretty much everyone who was supposed to protect democracy that was not American, pretty much just ran. As soon as the job wasn't cushy anymore, they left. And so I was just like, what do you want us to do at that point? Like, we would just
Yeah.
have to be there forever. At that point, you might as well just say it's a state.
Yeah. It's,
Afghanistan is a state. Yeah.
it's unfortunately that's how it is. Like, that's the reality they had to like everyone face. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
What if you want to go fight? Go fight. Grab a weapon and go fight for them. You know what I mean?
Right.
Which is dumb because you're not gonna do it, right? Just like out of sympathy, it's like obviously we are a human being and we see the suffering that people live in the Middle East, but we all know that it's majorly thanks to the United States. Right? We went out there and just destabilized their countries where, like look for example, Syria. It used to
Right.
be a great city. Now it just crumbles.
Well, yeah. Well, yeah.
And
We helped fuel the Civil War. Yeah.
yeah, and then look at right now. Right now, obviously we left. We withdraw from Afghanistan. Well, we're still throwing out drones and whatnot. Lately, I think the last drones that the United States through the Middle East did I think there were 8 victims, and out of those 8, 6 of them were child. It was children.
Yeah.
So, like it's not like we're not superheroes. We could be, but let's be honest. Our history has proven
I mean, I don't even
the
think.
total opposite.
I don't even think we could be. I don't think we should be. I think the United States has to act just like a normal country.
Yeah,
And
I mean, we could help.
in the case and the fact is that the fact of the matter is that we have to care about our own interests, and at the same time we have to understand. People have to understand that even though it might seem like a douchey thing to talk about or say it in this
Yeah,
way, is that when it comes to the United States comes first,
yeah.
right? It's like
Let's
that's what
be
it is.
honest. Like we've been at war since World War II.
Yeah, and the thing is, like, it's not like America doesn't like, or United States doesn't like helping out the country, right? That's not the case,
Yeah,
right? But the fact of the matter is that
it's not
there has to be a limit. And the thing is like, if we set you up with everything, and the first thing you do is just leave, then obviously it's gonna make us be like, oh, okay, then why are we here? Like, you know what I mean? Like, now we know, like I said before, we know we're not there to give democracy. No one's done. But the thing is that like, we gave you all the tools, right? We gave Afghanistan all the tools. They didn't use them. In fact, now the Taliban has them. So good luck fighting that now. And so it's like, just gotta leave. There's really nothing we can do. We just have to let it play out the way it's gonna play out at this rate.
Let's move on from topic about Afghanistan. We
Yeah,
know that Biden did the right thing from getting out of there.
100%.
Thank God. So we got a comment from Gloria Miller. It says, Massive die-off truckers from the new vaccines will devastate the industry this fall.
What?
She says, a massive die-off truckers from the new vaccines will devastate the industry this fall. I mean, we'll get on to that topic right after the California recall. Or you want to just jump in into the COVID cases?
We can jump into
All right, let's jump in. Yeah, let's jump into the COVID cases rising up in a lot of states, specifically in the states that a lot of people have refused to get in the vaccines. Specifically, what? Florida, Texas, Alabama. Most of the red states, right?
Yeah.
Most of the red states are suffering from the rise of COVID cases and whatnot.
Yeah.
And also, there's a lot of debate in a lot of public schools, as well as in work areas where they should this mandate of masks and whatnot. And a lot of parents and a lot of the small percentages of people are like actually going out there and protesting that we should not.
Yeah, and speaking to that comment, she's right. She's right. It is a lot of people who had to still work through the pandemic, truckers especially. There's people in logistics. I wouldn't be surprised if it would devastate the industry. The industry is already in a tight bind. Like I don't know if you know about the trucking industry, Ray, but they already have a shortage of truckers. That's probably one of the biggest shortages in the United States. One, they have long hours. They don't really get to stop. But if a lot of them, if enough of them do contract COVID, on top of the ones who quit their job due to COVID, who received the unemployment, who already had it, who already died from it, as it hits that industry even harder, all these shortages that we have, all these products are going to get worse. So her comment is pretty apt, and it's true. Cause I would even take it further. It's not going to just devastate the trucking industry or logistics, but devastate pretty much every industry. Because, like I said, we have to be the one to transport the goods from point A to point B. Well, you have to get it from the manufacturer to the seller, right? And less people to do that, the harder it is. So, thanks for the comment. Thanks for bringing that up, and that is something that we would have to consider. Unfortunately for us, those AI trucks are not coming anytime soon. You got to see how it plays out.
Yeah, I mean, even if they do come out, most people in the industry are not going to be able to afford them.
Yeah,
but I mean, sooner or later, I mean, sure, there's someone's going to be coming. Some manufacturers going to be able to manufacture them for a cheaper price. I mean, it's becoming most common.
But that's the thing that kind of leads to one of the shortages, right? Is that everyone knows that this is like one of those jobs that are highly likely to be automated, right?
Yeah.
Even though it pays really well. It does make people lack. It's like, okay, yeah, it paid me say 80 to 100 grand right now, but is that worth it? To sacrifice all this time in the industry that's going to be gone in like 10, 15 years. And so a lot of people start to think twice. And and I said that's a shortage. And I would even argue that along the lines of that would also be teachers, because when they're reopening the school, there's already a teacher shortage in the United States, a severe teacher shortage in the United States. And if you seeing the statistics, is bad. A lot of the children are getting COVID, which means most likely a lot of teachers are going to get COVID. And as a result of that, this teacher shortage is going to either scare away more teachers or cause them to die.
I mean, COVID did affect every other industry, right? And a lot of people are refusing to go back to work, even those people who have taken the vaccines. That's because of they looked into the people themselves in danger, right, and their families,
right. And that's really gets me the most, is that this country is, the priorities sometimes of this country is kind of interesting, right? Because it's like we ride too much on the selflessness of people, right? It's always people being selfless, always people being, putting others above themselves, right? And then we go out there, we treat them like shit, and then we expect them to keep coming back day after day, just keep testing these people, right?
Yeah.
And I'm just like,
At the end,
eh,
they'll be surprised why, right?
right. But the thing is, it's like, look, it's like, why you have to ask for them to be selfless? It's because you're not paying them enough. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you need them. That's why you have to keep asking for them. So if you need them and they keep not being there, and you keep having to ask them and beg them for stuff, maybe it's because you're not paying them, right?
Yeah.
Maybe you're not giving them precautions enough because it's like what people asked for, what the teachers asked for, what everyone asked for was just, hey man, if you're gonna do COVID, uh, hey brother, keep it down. If you if you're gonna do COVID, if you're gonna have us do our jobs during COVID, at least take the proper precautions, right? And then so you have this massive fight with the employees going on right now with their employers, and when they're like, if you want us to come back to the office, I'm just quit. I'm gonna go find something else.
Yeah.
And the thing is, a lot of these CEOs who get paid ridiculous amount of money that they most likely don't deserve, they're having to realize that they're having to realize that they don't really do anything in the company. And as the workers are quitting, they have nothing. And I always remember it was this one franchise. It was a McDonald's. I think it was a McDonald's. It was a Burger King where they put a note on the drive-through. They
Mhm.
said all the employees quit. Sorry, and they left.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I
like they
mean,
had, and the franchise owner was like, everyone's just being lazy, and they was like, no, I'm not
yeah, I've
gonna.
seen that
Yeah,
a couple of times. It's not just
right.
McDonald's.
It wasn't just that one.
It's
Yeah,
all the food industry, the food fast industry, the fast food industry that is being hit hard because employees like I'm not gonna put my life in danger for
why would
like $11 an hour or like what
exact
$9 an hour.
exactly? Like it's like, and that's the hilarious thing about it. It's like you have these franchise owners, you have these CEOs. McDonald's is one of the most profitable companies in the United States. The CEOs and the franchise owners, they are getting paid God knows how much, right? Remember, you gotta remember, right? These companies were willing to offer managers because it was so hard to find managers for the franchises. They're
Hmm.
willing to offer managers who start their six-figure salaries as a starting salary. Like, six-figure starting salaries are like Silicon
Yeah,
Valley level salaries. And so they're willing to just give them that much money, but magically they couldn't find enough to give their employees like a $3-4 raise. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's insane. Like, and then and then people expect them to put their lives online, like you just said, and it's not gonna happen. Like, it's just not
yeah.
gonna happen.
Yeah, but often it's just you see those picture loans with the messages like, "Oh, and they want their minimum wage to be increased."
Right.
They didn't even want to go to work. I was
Right.
like, but you didn't even ask yourself why not they don't want to work. Why?
And the funny thing about it is that years from now, when we forget about this, it's gonna be hilarious because for if you remember the 10 years leading up to this point, what were people saying? Oh, working at McDonald's, this is an entry level job. You don't want that for
Yeah,
your whole
yeah.
career. Like, you just use that for some side money for during the summer, blah blah. Right? And then unemployment comes through, right? I guess that was everyone's side money for the summer.
Mhm.
Because no one wants to work there anymore. And then they're having to
Mm.
realize they have to. I think what it is that these companies and these CEOs and these managers, look, let's face it, we know what they're going to do, right? They're just going to ride it out until the extra unemployment goes away. We know that, right? Because they know that they're going to have more money to hold out for longer than the average person.
Yeah.
But what's hilarious that they don't want to take a look at themselves and wonder why no one wants to work for them. Like, as soon as the first opportunity came, everyone just left. Like, they don't want to know why, right? They just want to keep thinking that, oh man, it's because of unemployment. It's not because of our bad conditions. It's not because we don't pay them enough. It's because they're
Yeah.
getting more money for free doing nothing. It's like, no, it's that your job sucks. They're gonna give an opportunity to leave your job. They're gonna leave.
Yeah. And specifically when another job that that gives in benefits
Yeah.
will come
And,
in.
And
Because it's not just the pay. If someone on the job will give you $15 an hour, or a little bit less, but will give you like benefits and whatnot,
right.
then they'll take that.
Yeah, and you don't even have to take our word for it either. I mean, you just take a look at it. Like these industries had like a really bad turnover for like the longest time. They had like extremely high turnover where your employees were just leaving left and right. Like they probably stay there for like 6, 7 months and leave. And this is most
Mhm.
companies. This is not like a handful. This is
Yeah,
most companies because most companies are really not that great.
but that's the reality, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, and then but then we go back to this, like obviously you know the COVID-19 issue
right,
that is still an outgoing topic, and it will be for I think a long period of time because people don't listen.
right,
Since there's been, I think the message of we still need to get people vaccinated,
right.
and there's millions of people here in the United States who are reluctant to even you know because the outgoing excuses like it's my body, it's my choice, right? And it's funny because you're like when
And
you're doing
it's out of
that.
spite. It's out of spite.
Yeah, when it's doing my choice of what, so you're like taking someone else's free will as well, right? Because
Listen,
you're like if you're a contact or you're a carrier of the COVID-19,
but
you're basically giving it to someone else, right? There's also the outgoing problem, or not a problem, but there's some people that have gotten the vaccine, both of them, and have done everything to stay away from getting the COVID-19, and they still end up getting it, and some of them even end up dying from COVID-19, even though they follow everything.
yeah.
But they end up contracting the COVID from people who haven't taken the vaccine.
Right. Yeah. So that's the thing, right? So first to address the my body, my choice thing. Okay, so if it's your body, your choice for the vaccine, that means you're gonna be cool on abortion too, right? Yeah, I think so. The thing is that
Yeah.
the thing is that this is what people mean when they say Republicans don't really stand for anything. They just stand against everything. And this is essentially it's the same thing as the whole Blue Lives Matter thing, right? Or like all
Yeah.
lives matter. Like it's not about all lives really mattering, right?
Yeah.
It's about being against Black Lives Matter. It's not really about my body, my choice, right? It's about being against the vaccine. And so when you see this, it's kind of ridiculous because as you said, like some people will still contract the virus and die from it. The vaccine is not 100% guaranteed, right? It's 99.9, 99.5, right? And that's in suffering the serious consequences of this, right? Death and heart issues, lung issues. When it comes to actually getting the disease, it's a lot less. Like if you have the Pfizer, I think it's like 65% effective at
Mhm.
blocking the Delta variant of the disease. But when it comes to getting to go into the hospital and dying and stuff like that, it's like 99%, right? And that's the point, right? They want like it's better for it to be like a flu or cold for you versus to kill you, right? And
Mhm.
so so that's the funny thing about it. And two, it's like you said, they're reluctant to get the vaccine, and so they're choosing to go with like hydroxychloroquine, which we talked about already. So we're not. And our new medicine, ivermectin, right? Even though the CDC said not to do it. So when it comes to ivermectin, there's a human version, but we're not gonna talk about that version. We're talking about the horse version. And the horse version, even though it's also called ivermectin, is used to deworm the horse, right? I tell your brother that. And right. Uh, and so well, ivermectin is horse medication that's used to remove worms from the horse. And so what's happening is that a lot of pet medication stores are finding it hard to keep it in stock, despite no one caring about it before. It's most likely because of these guys, the people who are buying this stuff to take for themselves. And so people are dying from ivermectin. People are dying from not taking the vaccine. And most of these are Republicans. They're red states, they're red counties, and they're just getting wrecked by this disease. And by this happening, not only is it hurting, the school, the children, et cetera, but it's actually hurting their economy and their economic recovery, right? They're
Yeah.
actually getting wrecked by the economic recovery, which is again, I'll speak to that later. And so the thing is that a lot of Republicans already didn't believe that the deal was real, right?
Mm,
And now that I guess they accepted that it was real, like some kind of, right? They decide to
yeah,
take the non-approved vaccine, and I say non-approved because it's not a vaccine, ivermectin. And again, it's just like I think Ray said it earlier. It's like they do everything in their power to not essentially just not listen.
yeah, yeah,
They do the exact opposite of what you would need to do. It's like if you accept the disease is real enough to get ivermectin, just go get the vaccine. You know why? Because one, it's real and it works, and two, it costs less than ivermectin. Literally, you have to pay money for ivermectin, and you don't have to pay money for the vaccine. So it's cheaper, and it actually works. So it's literally nothing but a benefit to you,
it's
right?
funny because you have there's a pharmaceutical company that's making this so-called, what is it, drugs.
Oh, ivermectin?
Yeah,
Yeah, horse medicine.
yeah, so these horse medicine, which is so the same companies are making the vaccines, almost, right? There's a pharmaceutical company making that as well, and they think that just because the government is kind of like giving out for free, they think that the government has done something to them, therefore they don't want to take it because it's almost like the same when whenever we talk about economics with a lot of Republicans or a lot of conservatives, like I don't want the government to be in my life, right?
But
It's almost the same
and
way of thinking.
that's what I guess, like, as liberals or as Democrat or left leaning people, we would never really understand, right? It's like these people are when we say they're going against their own interests, this pretty much shows you what we're talking about. I mean, wouldn't it be in your interest to live? Like, I think
Yeah,
that would be like your ultimate interest, right? To be alive. And they're literally saying, no, F that. Not
yeah,
gonna do that. It's I mean, if you need to know, like, we just came off of so you have multiple types of people, and I don't want to take away from the conservatives or Republicans
hmm,
who actually get the virus and they're about to die. And we just heard like dozens of stories like this where they were about to die and they were like, "Damn, I should just took the vaccine." Or can you give me the vaccine now? And the doctor is like, "It's too late." Right?
yeah,
We all heard it. We all saw it.
yeah.
But then there's just as many. Well, I can't say just, but there were a lot of Republicans who are just like, "Oh, I didn't take the vaccine because I might be told to do. I don't want to take the vaccine," or this, or like a one I brought up like months ago, but he was just like, I don't have a COVID. I have lung cancer." Even though the doctor was like,
Yeah,
"Oh, he's dead, right? He's
yeah,
dead."
he's about to die.
And so the thing is that it's like, how do you like square that circle? You
Yeah,
know what I mean? Like we can't you can't really force them to take the vaccine. At least we don't know if you can
yeah,
yet. And at the
yeah,
same time, it does, like Ray said earlier, it affects other people. And there's even a woman who sued the doctor's office saying, "No, man, you gotta administer ivermectin, right? You have to." And the judge agreed. Like, and the judge said, "Yeah, you have to do it." I'm like, "What the hell? Like, what kind of crazy is this?"
hmm,
Like, and so it's like, oh, it's funny because death penalties, right? Forcing the Obamacare will make judges force your doctor to have to do stuff.
yeah,
Apparently not. And so it's just crazy, like how far they will go with the mental gymnastic just not to get the vaccine. Like one
yeah.
of 6, 7 vaccines you have choices of, and they're just like, no, I'm gonna do everything else. Like, and then people still die from it in large numbers, and they're just like, no, it's working. It's like what? Crazy.
Yeah, and unfortunately, has led to the high cases being you know rising in a lot of like states like Florida and whatnot. And I think the Delta variant has strictly hit to those people who were reluctant to get the vaccines, and as well as those people who did follow the proper protocol and they got the vaccines, but they ended up getting infected by other people. And and I hate this because conservatives has also used this as a way of saying, see, I told you that the vaccine was not gonna cure you from the COVID. I was like, well, obviously we already touched upon the fact that it doesn't supposed to cure you. It just prevents you from getting and if you get it, it won't
Seriously,
be as severe, right?
right?
And people
Most
was
of the time,
like, nah, you said it, they will prevent you to get it, and I was like, no.
right?
But they still don't want to listen because they do listen to places like Fox News or those conservative outlets that they keep repeating the same BS, right? Oh, COVID vaccine, like the vaccines are nothing but a hoax, or try to put a chip on you, or
Yeah,
they trying to kill you, or watch all those people who get the vaccine, they're gonna die in 10 years, shit like that, right? So
yeah.
I was like, so if you think that people who got the vaccine are gonna die in 10 years, but you actually could die from this today, what?
Right. I mean, and that's the thing, man. It's just like I said, I don't think we'll ever be able to go down that logic, that trail of logic, right? I don't
Yeah.
doubt we'll be able to like justify that to ourselves. But this is essentially why, so people always wonder why our blue states have like the largest economies and such. Most of the time, have the best economies. I mean, I think the exception is like Texas, and the reason why is stuff like this. This is why. Like, do you want to know why California and New York have like such big economies? It's because of stuff like this. Is that when you threaten people's lives for no real reason? Like, I have no reason why Republican like politicians will come out against the virus. Like,
Mhm.
if Republicans are alive to vote for them, that's great. I don't know why you would want that to change, but apparently they do.
Yeah.
And so I have no idea why they would want to go against the vaccine in the first place. But when you have stuff like this where you say, "Hey, keep the economy running at all costs," regardless of the human cost, just put them in the meat grinder. People don't want to be there. They leave. They don't want to be there. And then where they go? They go to places like California. They go to places like New York, right? Places where they actually give a shit.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden, all these businesses, guess where they have to go? You know what I mean? They have to
Mhm.
go to California and New York. And they don't like being in California and New York because California and New York have a lot of
Yeah.
labor protections and have a lot of blue
Yeah.
laws that they don't like. But the thing is, people want to be in California and New York. So if you want to have a successful business, you gotta go to where the people are. That's gonna be a lot of the times
Yeah.
blue state. And it's like, and don't get me wrong, Texas is growing. I'm not gonna pretend like Texas is like a middle state or trash or whatever like that.
Yeah.
It's a growing state. But the thing is that every time stuff like this happens, like how long is it gonna take? You know what I
Yeah.
mean? It's like and we just came off like two months ago. I think, was it 2 months ago? The first they had the whole power issue in the winter
Yeah.
where
Yeah.
people are freezing to death, and then they had the power issue in the summer where people are dying of heat. And so it's just like like when you see people dying of guns. Well, it happens in California too, but more so in Texas. Guns, um, the lack of electricity. With how long? Like, you know what I mean? How long? It's just crazy.
And it, it sucks because the other problem is, the mask mandate, and the fact that a lot of people, they have to go to like the city boards and whatnot and start like complaining and start like protesting. Oh, I don't want to wear the mask.
Yeah.
It's my choice whether if you want to wear it or not. And they have the worst thing was that I saw this clip from CVS um the other day on YouTube where they go into different interviews where they get children to come in and say, "My body, my choice." Or it's my choice whether if I should wear it. And these children are like 7 year old. They didn't even know. Why should they even be talking about this? Obviously,
Kids are pretty smart.
no. I'm just saying, like, not talking about the issue, just why they should be like be thrown into in front of the TV to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, but remember, we even read a story. I don't know if we talked about, but we read a story where you had teenagers had to sneak out behind their conservative parents' back so they can get the vaccine. Like, they had to like hide it from their parents
Mm-hmm.
because their parents they thought their parents are crazy. And I was just like, of course they're crazy. Yes, they are crazy. That's exactly what crazy is. It's a teenager, the one that's not as biased, right, as an adult.
Yeah,
They don't care. They're like, look, I'll try to live. I'll try to be alive. I'll try to hang out with my friends and still be alive. So I'm gonna go get the vaccine. And the parents is like, no, Democrats can't be trusted. That's it. even if it helps them in every way, shape, or form, it's just no. it's Democrats, I don't trust it. So I'm gonna sacrifice my life for this point. No reason. There's really no reason. There's no reason to think like that. Like, it's
Yeah.
crazy.
Yeah. Well, let's move on from the fact that, all this so-called, 44-year-olds and those people who don't believe in mass magnet or the vaccine. And, obviously because of them, we're like not even advancing on the issue of the COVID-19. If anything, we're
Yeah, we
going
got
back,
stopped
right?
hard.
Have you seen the spikes?
Yeah.
The graphics going even out more like.
And almost all of them are in red states. I think actually the vast majority is in red states.
Yeah.
It's sad.
Yeah.
It really is sad because you don't want to see people suffer like that.
Yeah.
But you can't make the choices for them. Like you can't. If they
And,
choose to not get the vaccine, then we can do it.
And the other people who are getting affected is the people who have to be in the front lines, like dealing with this issue, right? In the hospitals.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
sucks because-
It's crazy because like lately, because of all the unvaccinated people, a lot of people are starting to wonder: is it just a survival of the fittest thing? And it's cruel. I understand the question because people they're feeling like, hey, look, man, this is just the general idea, right? Is that they feel that you have people who take the vaccine, and people who don't. The people who don't take the vaccine, they get COVID, and then they go into the hospital, and then they take up all the resources having to be treated.
Yeah.
And it's like, but people feel that if they chose not to get COVID, not to get the vaccine,
Yeah.
why should we care if they get sick or not? Because that's the risk that they were choosing to make.
Yeah.
But the thing is, I don't prescribe to that because that's cruel.
Yeah.
Like sometimes people, like I said, there are people in this world where sometimes they don't get it until it happens, right? I said that
Yeah.
earlier this time right now. Like they don't see the actual end game or the end point until it actually hits them in the face. And then when it hits them in the face, they learn the lesson. But the thing is, I believe that they should always have the chance to learn. And so if it takes them getting COVID to learn that lesson, I'm okay with that. And if they choose, hey, whatever, it's COVID, I'm gonna die.
Yeah.
Then, let it be. But otherwise, just
Yeah,
give them the
because
option. And
I saw this clip on TikTok where this guy whose wife had like third stage of breast cancer.
Yeah.
And he was like, he said, like, I don't get it. Like, I understand that you have the right to use your own opinion about taking the vaccine, wearing masks, and all that shit. I respect that. To each their own, right? But when it comes to someone like my wife who has third stage cancer, and she has to go to the hospital to be able to to survive, right, a little bit longer, and they tell her that she has to leave the hospital because there is no more room for her because there's a lot of people with COVID-19. I was like, and he's like, you chose not to get the vaccine.
Right.
You chose not to listen, even though we told you many times. So now you have to live with that. Right. You have to live with that. We respect your own opinion and you're right to do it. Now respect the fact that you're gonna have to die by yourself. That you go stay in your house.
But you have to sacrifice the consequences of your choices.
Yeah. Stay in your house and just die out like a fucking with your fucking balls hanging out. I mean, you say like you wanted to do that. Now you fucking live with the consequences. It is what it is. I mean, I know it sounds cruel, he says, but you chose it and you putting a lot of people's lives in danger just because you are not willing to listen, right? So, I mean, yeah. And there's a lot of, what I hate about it is like, whenever you see someone who works in the medical field and they go out there, put their own opinion on social media saying, bro, like we are tired of seeing people dying every day. We're tired of dealing with people who didn't listen. And people in the comment sections like, shut up, you chose that profession. If you can't deal with it, then quit, get another job at McDonald's and shit. That's like, it's just stupid, bro.
I mean, yeah, but as I said, man, I definitely get the mentality. I get it, and he's right. At the end of the day, he's right. They did make the choice, and his wife did it. Wife has a right to see that because she cared from day one, and they didn't. I definitely get it, but yeah, I can't. I can't justify it. Yeah, but I definitely understand it.
Yeah, well.
I definitely understand.
So let's jump into the other issue, which is a little bit tie into this because here in California, obviously, we have a governor who listened to science and he said, you know what, we're all gonna wear masks, even though that's why he got in trouble at some point because the dumbass decided to just throw a fucking private party where his people who donated to him into his campaign, and they all were not wearing masks when he was telling everyone to wear masks the same day.
He got caught. He
got caught, and then because of that,
it fueled enough outrage to start to recall.
Yeah, so there's a recall here in California. People actually are going out or sending their own ballots through mail to vote on should we have a recall or not here in California. You know, to have Newsom taken out of there and put someone else. In this case, you know, the one who leaves behind in the polls is a conservative. Conservative politician. His name is Larry Elder.
He's a radio personnel.
Yeah. Larry Elder. So, unfortunately, this guy doesn't believe in science. He doesn't believe in mask mandates. He doesn't believe in vaccines.
He believes in what every Republican believes in.
Yeah, he doesn't believe
every Republican politician.
Yeah, politician. He doesn't even believe in immigrant rights. He doesn't believe in women's rights. He wants to backtrack some of them here in California.
Yeah.
So there you go. Like, if you have, to be honest, I'm not the biggest, Newsom fan out there. Neither I like him as a politician that much, but he has done, what is necessary to control the COVID-19, issue here in California. So
I can't, bro. I can, to be honest, I don't really care about him not wearing a mask that much. I'll be real. I'll be honest. I don't care because a lot of people, Republicans who are attacking him for not wearing a mask, don't even wear a mask. Hell, Larry Elder has pictures of him not wearing a mask. So like out with crowds of people. It's all just like, how you gonna sit there and attack him for doing something that you do on a daily basis?
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, unfortunately, we have to keep this dude on office because there's a lot of things on risk. I mean, it's like dealing with Trump, but here in California.
Look, you're 100% right. He's a mainstream Democrat.
Yeah,
100 through and through mainstream Democrat. Fact of the matter is, they're doing a pretty decent job in California.
That's what I'm saying.
They're gonna bring up a lot of stuff. Like, and this is the thing. This is why it never really gets me because people like talk about like, oh, look at homelessness in California and Skid Row. I'm like, Skid Row has been around. Skid Row has been around for almost 100 years. You know that, right?
No, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Most people didn't know that because they don't care. You see what I'm saying? Like, Skid Row has been around since 1930. 9 years from now is going to be 100 years since Skid Row, and it was always known for poverty. Okay, always. So I don't care if people are like, oh, look at all this homelessness because it's always been an issue, right? It's that no one cared, and they still don't care. And so it's one of those things where, well, few people care because that's why they sued Los Angeles to help them house the homeless. But most people don't care. And so when they attack them over like the economy, which is great, we have a $70 billion surplus. And they talk about homelessness, which again has been a problem for almost 100 years. Republican, Democrat, when California was solidly red, it was a problem. When California was solidly blue, problem. It's always been a problem. When it was purple, it was a problem. So it's always been a problem. When they talk about COVID-19, I'm like, so many people in California have the vaccine. They've done a great job of getting it out to people. I don't see what's wrong. I don't think he's doing a bad job at all.
Yeah,
I think he's doing a great job. In fact, especially during the time that we need him to do. The biggest downside for Newsom is that he's corrupt as shit. That's it. But we already knew he's corrupt as shit.
Yeah.
But guess what? All the politicians, all the Republicans that are gonna come in, guess what? They're also corrupt as shit. And probably even more so than him. Because again, so the fires that's going on in California right now, people estimate is because of PG&E, right? They have faulty cabling again, and it started a fire again. But we all know, just like last year, PG&E, they paid off Newsom. Newsom kind of relaxed the law, so they didn't have to update their infrastructure, and it led to another fire, like last year, right? That's like his biggest thing, right? That's Gavin Newsom's biggest thing. But the Republicans aren't talking about that. They don't care, right? They don't care. They're going to do the exact same thing. right? Only thing is worse is that they're gonna probably cut the budget of the fire department to actually go out and fight the fire. If you know how he did that, it's something else happened because that's what Arnold Schwarzenegger. And so when in the emergency budget, he also cut the emergency budget, which guess what you need. And so when they say vote recall Gavin Newsom, I'm like, nah, cool, like not
Yeah,
really.
yeah,
He's not
yeah.
really terrible.
And most people say, okay, let's calm down. We live in the biggest blue state in the world. Well, not in the world, in the United States, right? So, so the United States. So
You
it's
live in a
not
hippie
like
state.
it's gonna happen. I mean, if it does happen, it sucks, and that's what we're trying to prevent. We're trying to people know it's like, dude,
All, all,
a lot of the stake in here.
off year
Um,
elections are some of the hardest to win for Democrats because when they're off year elections, most people don't. If you don't believe me, go back to 2008. You know what happened in 2008, Ray? Want me to tell you what happened in 2008?
the red wave. I
What?
don't know. I don't know.
No, no. The
What happened?
bluest state, the most liberal
Oh
state in the
yeah.
union, recalled, literally banned gay marriage during the off-season
Really?
election. California banned gay marriage. We
Oh yeah, I
approved it.
forgot. Oh yeah, I forgot.
We approved it.
I forgot that happened.
Yeah, we approved it. Everyone was like, "Yeah, we love
Yeah.
gay marriage." Blah blah. And then 2 years later, during the off-year election, got banned. And then we had to unban it during the next election. and so now gay marriage is legal in California. So I mean, I think it's legal in the whole country now. But
Yeah, because of Barack.
right. But the thing is that off-year elections have different rules, and Democrats usually take breaks during off-year elections. So I don't
Yeah,
think it's just gonna just breeze through because he's blue, right?
yeah,
It sometimes doesn't happen like that. Um, yeah, but the good thing is that we don't really have a celebrity running for office this time on the
yeah.
Republican side.
Unless
So,
you want to count, what's her name?
oh, Caitlyn Jenner.
Kelly.
Yeah, no, we don't
Yeah,
count Caitlyn Jenner. They're not gonna vote for her. Like
yeah, they don't.
they don't even see her as a her.
Yeah,
So it's like they're not gonna vote.
I
Not
think she
getting vote.
dropped out.
No, still on the ballot.
I haven't seen her.
What?
I haven't heard from her.
What?
She announced.
I don't vote for her.
But yeah, it is what it is. I mean, there's a lot of stake right now. That's why I say it's very important for people to go out there and vote for Newsom, even though you might have your own political opinion about him that you might not like him and shit. But a lot of things are at stake when the whole California state goes red, and all these people they do is just like cut, and fuck you over, right? And we don't want to go to another episode of like Trump, but a very minimal state here in California.
You have to
It sucks.
remember, Arnold Schwarzenegger got in office. He just cut.
Budget cuts,
He
everything.
he completely ruined the economy. They're like, yeah, nah, let's get him out of here. Like
Yeah.
almost immediately. Like, you know how hard it is to get rid of an incumbent? How hard it is to get rid of an incumbent governor? Because if you don't know, Gray Davis, which was the governor before Arnold Schwarzenegger, he got recalled, right? Because he
Mhm.
banned. I think he did something with the gas. I forgot what it was. I was like a kid at the time. And then all sorts of Schwarzenegger got put in, and everyone saw what he was doing with the economy. Completely ruined it. Got him out of here. And then I believe it was Jerry Brown came back for a while, and then Gavin Newsom after that.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so it's very very interesting. And then what was also interesting,
Hmm.
my English school, my high school English teacher is actually running for it, which is really funny.
I didn't
Because
even knew he was.
no, because I was reading the candidates. I was reading the candidates on the ballot, and I saw his name, and I was like, "Is this the same one?
What?
Same
What's his name, by
Kylie?
the way?
Kevin Kylie?"
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, I was like,
Yes.
I was like, "Yo, is that the same guy?" He's a politician, so I can give him.
Oh.
I was like, "It's the same guy." I looked it up. I was like, "Yes, that's the same guy. That shit is the same person." And I was just like, "Damn, dude, too bad I can't vote for you." Yeah, cool dude. He wasn't a bad guy. Like he started the debate team at my school, taught me how to
Yeah.
debate. Um, but the Republican, bro. But that's the thing, man. He's always been kind of into like Ayn Rand and all that stuff. Uh, Atlas Shrugged, and so I get it. But like I said, Republican Party is not a party that, or I even went to go look up his voting record. course it's bad.
Yeah.
I mean, of course. It's all just like, yeah. Nah, I mean, probably a cool person. Cool person. Like you can't knock someone who decides to teach at an underprivileged school, but at the same time, I don't support your politics, my guy. You're not gonna get my vote. Is what it is.
Well, there you have it. I mean, we have to go out there and vote for another Democrat.
Just say no. Just say no on the recall.
Yeah,
Say
you
no
say
to
no to
recall.
Rico. Everything's gonna stay as it is.
Yeah.
If the next election comes in and someone better comes in, then
Don't
we're
vote for
gonna
the
be there.
YouTuber. Don't vote for the YouTuber. We know you want to. Don't do it. Don't vote for the YouTuber. I know it's gonna be funny if he ever got to office, but don't do
At this point, right?
it. Yeah.
All right, guys. It's been for everything for today. I'm glad we're back here. I think we had a good chat, good hour. And anything you wanna get off your chest before you leave, Kenneth?
Yeah, I mean, it's good to be back. We'll see how far that goes, actually.
No, we'll be back, guys, next week for sure. We have a lot to talk about. I think a lot of things gonna still happen, as always, right?
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thanks for watching, and see you guys next week.
Peace.
Peace.